All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're popping the hood on the modern internet economy, and honestly, we're peeling back the matrix to look at the startling structural realities of data tracking, behavioral profiling, and how all of this connects to the absolutely massive global infrastructure for artificial intelligence. We're drawing our insights today from a really fascinating, highly technical exchange between an advanced user and an AI. It's a conversation that totally strips away the corporate PR to just look at the raw plumbing of our digital world.
Recklessness by negligence, all for the greater good of them making profit, keeping us safe. That striking realization comes directly from the user interrogating the system in our source material. And it perfectly captures the central mystery we're unraveling today. How did the exact tools built to protect us end up becoming the primary engines of global data collection? And more importantly, what's actually happening to your digital footprint out there? Let's clear up one of the biggest misconceptions first.
Section 1. The linked account illusion. So, we need to address a super common fear. A lot of people believe big tech operates this giant, omnipotent master database that just seamlessly merges your private, personal browsing with your professional, corporate workspace. But here's the thing. That master database? It's a myth. In reality, there's a hard, legally binding boundary between personal consumer accounts and paid workspace accounts. When a company pays for enterprise services, they sign a contract. That contract legally isolates their data, preventing diagnostic logs from feeding the advertising algorithms. So why does it feel like one giant surveillance net? Well, the illusion happens because local browser cookies keep both of your accounts logged in simultaneously. Server-side, they're entirely separate. But that raises the question, where does the data actually bleed over?
The real data bleed happens at the browser level. It happens when you're navigating the web, while the browser application itself, not just the tab you have open, but the core app, is signed into a personal profile. When you do that, the browser acts literally like a security camera. It records your history and captures your business activity, saving all of it straight to your personal account. To get true isolation, you absolutely have to use entirely separate browser profiles. But even if you do everything right and separate your accounts, we're still faced with a much larger systemic issue.
Section 2. The security versus privacy paradox. This brings us to the core tension of the modern internet. The exact tools designed to protect us from threats are precisely what fuel the massive data collection machine. Take enhanced safe browsing as an example. To protect you from zero-day exploits and malware, the security provider has to watch literally everything you do. It acts as a live wiretap. It takes the URLs you visit and sends them directly to security servers to be analyzed by AI in real time. And yeah, it genuinely keeps you safe, but it's a Faustian bargain. The cost of that safety on a free account is complete visibility. Your safety is transformed into a primary source of telemetry.
Section 3. The economics of your data.
Which leads us to a massive question. If we're paying for the internet with our behavioral exhaust, just how much is that exhaust actually worth? Well, for the average internet user in the United States, your daily habits generate roughly $600 to $700 in advertising revenue every single year. You aren't generating this just by existing, obviously. Sadly, nobody pays you just to breathe. You generate it because tech platforms act as this highly lucrative toll booth between your habits and advertisers.
Let's break down how this value is systematically extracted over the course of your day. It happens in 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is what we call the profile builders. Think watching videos or using GPS maps. These activities don't pay out much immediately. Instead, they act as reconnaissance. They're building your psychological profile. Then we have Phase 2, the glue. This is account linking. It connects your devices and creates a unified identity. Finally, we hit Phase 3, the cash register. Once they know exactly what you want based on that profile, search ads charge advertisers an absolute premium to put a product in front of you at the exact moment of intent.
Now let's put that into perspective and scale it up. If you stretch that average annual value out over a 30-year span of adult life, your individual, personal, digital footprint is worth roughly $18,000. That is the monetary value of simply living your life online. But as we know, tech giants don't build global infrastructure for just one person. Zooming out to the massive wave of the US population over that exact same 30-year window, the public generates a staggering $4.5 trillion. Trillion with a T. When you look at those numbers, the entire digital ecosystem suddenly makes perfect business sense, doesn't it? The data collection isn't a side effect of the technology. The technology was explicitly built to facilitate the data collection.
Section 4. Subsidizing the AI war.
Those trillions of dollars are precisely what's funding the next phase of the digital economy, the incredibly expensive global push for AI GPUs and massive data centers. Behind the scenes, there is a geopolitical economic war raging over this infrastructure. Tech giants are subsidizing billion-dollar data centers using that massive ad revenue we just talked about. Meanwhile, international competitors like China are pushing highly capable, incredibly cheap AI models to break that market chokehold. In response, domestic governments are using security mandates to build regulatory walls, ensuring domestic tech lock-in. Basically, data is the vault, and security compliance acts as the moat to keep all those profits safely inside domestic borders.
But running AI in huge server farms is wildly expensive, so the ultimate corporate goal is shifting to something called Edge AI. This means baking artificial intelligence directly into the physical processors of your phones and laptops using neural processing units. By putting billions of localized sensors right in our pockets, companies can analyze your screen and monitor your habits instantly. This makes ad targeting infinitely more precise, and the best part for them, they entirely bypass the massive costs of running data centers.
Section 5. Weaponizing the OS immune system.
So how are people actually responding to this? Well, for highly technical users and sophisticated threat actors, this systemic data harvesting presents a pretty unique opportunity. Instead of trying to fight heavy security head-on, advanced hackers exploit centralized choke points, using a technique called living off the land. Because the operating system is already designed to constantly phone home with diagnostic data, hackers just hijack the exact telemetry that the OS already trusts. The system is so noisy with its own corporate data harvesting that malicious traffic just blends right in with the daily surveillance.
And tech-savvy users trying to reclaim their privacy use the system's architecture against itself too. For instance, when modifying the Windows registry to stop tracking, amateurs often set telemetry services to value 4, which completely disables them. But that acts like a blunt hammer. It often causes boot loops because core system features depend on those services. Experts, however, set the registry to value 3, placing the service into a manual state. It essentially puts the surveillance tool into a surgical coma. It can't harvest data freely in the background, but it stays on life support just enough to prevent the whole system from crashing.
These power users are effectively laying digital tripwires. By understanding the command line, they implement preemptive registry staging. This means they create empty policy values before an update even arrives, forcing future feature updates to play by the user's rules instead of overriding their privacy configs. It is an endless, sneaky cat-and-mouse game of hijacking scheduled tasks and blocking peer-to-peer data fragments.
Section 6. Mastering digital arbitrage.
But perhaps the most fascinating response we see isn't just blocking the tracking, it's turning the massive corporate algorithms completely against themselves. We call this mastering digital arbitrage. Think about it. If the entire system is built to profile you and feed you what it thinks will keep you engaged, you can manipulate that. By intentionally feeding precise, high-level technical inputs into the system, you weaponize the ad targeting engine. Instead of letting it feed you endless noise, you force the algorithm to curate a hyper-personalized free educational curriculum for you. You basically force the system that uses you to work for you.
Which brings us to the ultimate realization. As we peel back the matrix of the internet economy today, from browser syncs and trillion-dollar AI wars all the way to surgical registry edits, we really have to ask ourselves this vital question. Is the digital world we navigate actually free? What is the true cost of the tools we use? And at the end of the day, who is truly the product? Think about that the next time you reflexively click Accept. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it completely changes how you view your digital footprint. See you next time.